Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, I try to, before I do these talks with you, I try to get information from other people. And one of the people I call, and I call him more for a spot that I do on Foxy down in Watertown. It's a shorter spot. It's more just technical. How's the fishing? I call my buddy Rocky, who, again, I've told you about Rocky many times, one of the most amazing people I've ever met, incredibly intelligent, and has served our country in every single combat stage that we've had since Vietnam. I mean, he has an unbelievable background, but he also is one of the best fishermen I've ever been around. So I called Rocky, wanted to know about just exactly what's happening with the fishing on the Salmon River, which is so different than anything else that we talk about. But what he started to tell me was so powerful and almost elementary. And I said to him, Rocky, when you're taking people out, or let's put it another way, I said, Rocky, if I'm talking to somebody that has never fished the Salmon River, they don't know anything about it, but they know that these giant trout and salmon live there, and they want to catch one. They want to have this experience. What is the first thing that you would tell them to help them if they go there, they don't know anything, and yet give them a tip of how to catch a fish? I know this is very basic, it's a hard question to answer. Well, it wasn't hard for him. He said the first thing is you got to remember that every fisherman, whether they're even a seasoned trout fisherman from other areas, and Rocky's a guide, so he takes them out. He says they all have their own special way of fishing. And I'll try to teach some things. The first thing I try to teach people is how to roll cast. And roll cast is with a fly rod. So we're talking fly fishing now, but it's all basically comes down to the same thing. A roll cast allows them to get their fly, which is imitating something, out there in the water. The direction, he says, I try to keep it simple. Have them cast right 90 degrees across. That makes it simple. If they cast too much upstream, they'll lose control of their fly, and their sinker will start hitting bottom, and they'll get snagged. So I try to keep that very basic. But he said after about an hour, they kind of get it. They get how to roll cast. They get the presentation. And then you reach a point where too much teaching becomes a bother. It becomes a bother to them. Let them do it. Let them discover it in their own way. And I thought, this is really something special he's talking about. He's a guy that his whole life is sharing and doing things with others and teaching them about this very, very special fly fishing or fishing experience in the Salmon River. Now, he went on to tell me how it's going to change each month depending on the temperature of the water, the type of food that still exists there for these fish, what these fish really are. They're coming from another area. They're not as finicky as fish that would live in there and get used to a certain food source. And I'm thinking, wow, the things that he can teach, the things that people can get. And I guess here's the other lesson that came from this that I wanted to share with you. No matter whether I'm talking to people out in Boston about coming to our wonderful area, when they come here to fish, our waters we take for granted, but every single water is unique and special and has a certain way that everything comes together in that water. And we, if we fish it long enough, tend to learn that. So I think for anybody going to a new area, the best thing that they possibly can do, if they're able to, is to get a guide. And I think to all my fishing experiences through the years, how the guides are what helped me not only get a TV show, not only catch fish, but they help me to learn more about a sport that I love. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.